First up, did you know there are a ton of hidden dialogue options if you choose to multi-class as both a Paladin and a Cleric? In early access, Paladins had the option to choose a deity to worship, but it was scrapped and it's now a Cleric-only feature. Or is it? If, for example, you multi-classed as a Cleric of Selûne and Paladin, you can actually acquire the tag Paladin of Selûne and unlock super hidden dialogue choices that only a Paladin of Selûne would have available. And since there are a large number of deities in Baldur's Gate 3, there is a ton of hidden dialogue that most players probably missed, such as this dialogue you get when promising Nettie that you'll drink the wyvern poison. I did notice that if your latest level up was as a Cleric, then you'll get the Cleric dialogue option instead of the Paladin option. So if you want to make sure to get this hidden dialogue, you'll probably need to make sure that the last level up you chose was in Paladin. And next up is a secret note that you can receive from Mystic Carrion. To get this note, you'll need to pick up one of the jars that contain a body part of Mystic Carrion. Whether it's the heart, the liver, or the brain doesn't matter, only that you have at least one. Then go and slay Mystic Carrion. Then after you long rest after slaying him, you'll awake to the jars missing, replaced with this note. Now since the jars keep him immortal, you actually need to destroy them before slaying him, but since in this scenario the jars were kept intact, this leads to Mystic Carrion not truly dying and instead returning to life and leaving you this letter. Now since most players who find the jars would know to destroy them, most probably don't ever discover this note that Mystic Carrion can leave, one that you only get by long resting after slaying him. And speaking of long resting, and next up is a message from this video's sponsor, Manta Sleep. Manta Sleep makes the world's most advanced sleep masks and accessories, and everything they do is fueled by their drive to enable better lives through better sleep and regular naps. I'm wearing the incredible Manta Sound Sleep Mask, which is incredibly comfy, is 100% blackout, and has zero eye pressure thanks to the amazing C-shaped eye cups, which let you sleep on your side in comfort. The mask is made of perforated materials for airflow and ventilation, which makes it stay at the perfect temperature as you wear it. The adjustable zero-slip strap fits anyone and definitely won't be slipping off. Manta Sleep works to improve and optimize sleep so you have the energy to create your best life, and they believe it's impossible to unlock your full potential without getting an afternoon nap every day. If you're ready to start sleeping better, click the link in the description and use my discount code Toyhouze for 10% off Manta Sleep products. And next up is how to get infinite summons, no mods and no bugs required. To do this, you'll need to be a Circle of the Spore Druid and have the condition Rejuvenating Miasma. This condition allows you to cast Animating Dead without needing a corpse due to a lingering necrotic stench. However, it also allows Spore Druids to cast Fungal Infestation without using a corpse, which raises a mildewed, mold-encrusted zombie from a corpse. What's great about this class action is that it only costs a Fungal Infestation charge, and there are no maximum number of zombies you can have. If you then just position yourself next to the giant nautiloid Conch of Restoration, you can summon 3 zombies, use Restoration, summon 3 more, and rinse and repeat to your heart's content for an infinite number of zombie summons. You do get to control these zombies, so I hope you like to micromanage a ton of summons if you do this. I personally sent my horde of zombies against Ketheric, and they actually managed to take him down. A very effective tactic is actually using the ladder to stack all your zombies on top of each other so they are all within melee range to attack. And although Ketheric wasn't too bad, the Apostle of Myrkul had some wicked AoE and heals which made short work of my zombie army, cleaving tons of them down in a single swing. It was a lot of fun since these zombies deal bludgeoning damage and skeletons are vulnerable to bludgeoning, so if you ever thought Spore Druid was bad, give this a try. I think it would have been even stronger if I was more patient and summoned even more zombies. And next up is the Secret Curse of the Sired. This curse can only be applied to Astarion and can only be acquired if you enter into a conversation with Sebastian as Tav with Astarion in your party. Sebastian is one of Astarion's first victims and can be found in Cazador's dungeon. After letting Sebastian know he's been trapped for 170 years, he gets a bit upset. If you then just say, "We need to leave," Sebastian will break down and repeatedly says, "Damn you, Astarion," over and over, and actually places a very real curse upon Astarion called Curse of the Sired. This gives Astarion disadvantage on all saving throws. This curse can also be applied if you fail any of the rolls when talking to Sebastian in the same scenario. So most players probably miss ever seeing this curse get applied to Astarion. And it's also worth noting that you can just remove this curse with the Remove Curse spell. And next up is Ironhand's Boon. There are a number of amazing things unlocked by saving the Ironhand gnomes from Moonrise Towers. One of the main rewards is access to Angel Iron's Cellar. If you don't save the gnomes in Act 2, the entrance to Angel Iron's Cellar will be completely blocked off and everything inside sealed away. But if you save them, you get access to things like the Flash Blinder, a grenade that is guaranteed to stun Steel Watchers for 2 turns and will deactivate the Steel Watcher Titan's defensive bulwark condition, making this grenade incredible for taking on the Steel Watch. You can buy them off Bumpinagle inside of Angel Iron's Cellar. He also sells a number of gloves. One of the most noteworthy is Martial Exertion gloves. These gloves grant Martial Exertion, granting an additional attack per turn, doubles your movement speed, and can be used once per short rest at the low cost of 66 piercing damage. But even if you're not interested in anything inside of Angel Iron's Cellar, you'll still want to save the Ironhand gnomes in Act 2 because they'll save you at the South Span checkpoint. If you choose the option to submit and go to prison or fight after the Steel Watcher deems you a threat, an Ironhand gnome will throw a Flash Blinder grenade, giving you an opportunity to just run past the checkpoint. And if you didn't save them, you'd actually have a fight on your hands or you'd actually be sent to prison. And next up is how to get a secret reward from Isobel's Sarcophagus. Definitely one of the rarest rewards I've ever tried to uncover. Seemingly nowhere online had documented how to get this. Now, if you click on the plaque in front of Isobel's Sarcophagus, you'll hear the narrator say, Susun Elg Oloth. This is Elvish and translates to light slays darkness, roughly, rough translation. However, if you didn't first meet Isobel in Last Light Inn and then sneak into Ketheric's bedroom and read the note in the chest at the foot of his bed and then read Melodia's plaque first, then your Tav will not respond in any way to this, but your companions will. Now, this might actually be a bug, since if your Tav doesn't know it's Isobel's Sarcophagus, how could your companions know, right? But if you did all of the previously listed actions, then by finally reading the plaque in front of Isobel's tomb, your Tav will announce that it is Isobel's Sarcophagus before Ketheric brought her back to life, and you'll be rewarded with inspiration for anyone with a noble background, which includes Minthara. And next up is playing Sunni. Right as you enter the Blushing Mermaid in Act 3, you can find Siggy and Sven talking. They're talking about Sven's plans, and if you succeed a Wisdom Insight check, you can discover that Siggy is in love with Sven. By succeeding a Persuasion check to convince Sven to listen to Siggy because she loves him, he will stay with Siggy and you'll be rewarded with an inspiration point for anyone in your party with an entertainer background. The name of the inspiration is Playing Sunni, and Sunni is the goddess of beauty and passion in the Faerunian pantheon, referencing the saying, in my opinion, to playing Cupid. And next up is how to keep the Caravan Strongbox containing the Iron Flask while also getting the reward for completing the quest, The Missing Shipment. By accepting the quest from Zaris and then saving Ollie and Rugen, you can choose the dialogue option telling them everyone is dead and that Zaris sent you. Then you can intimidate them for gold and they'll tell you that they'll deliver the Strongbox. Now at that point, you can just steal the Strongbox. Now whether you steal it without combat or you cause combat, just make sure to not kill Rugen or Oli once you have it. If you cause combat, you can just drink a potion of invisibility and escape. After you long rest and then return to Zaris, she'll give you the gold and the special stock of Brem will open up, giving you access to the Titanstring bow, the best bow in the game, but you do miss out on Herald, the crossbow, but I don't think it's anything special really, so this option is totally worth it if you want specifically the Flask and the Titanstring bow. And next up is the Dead Druid's Journal. Hidden northeast of Last Light Inn, this journal might not seem like much, but it's important to grab it and not read it until you have Gale or another character with a sage background in your party. The reason for that is because by reading it, you'll actually earn an inspiration point called Corrupted Beyond Recognition, and it's another on-demand point of inspiration, perfect for when you're running low or when you're at max and you want to hold on to it for later. So make sure to grab it and keep it as a way to have more than 4 points of inspiration saved up. The journal itself is rather interesting and describes the Shadow Curse and some background about how it came to be. And next up is a hidden interaction with Remedial Potion. This potion is craftable, but it is also sold by Lady Esther and it removes all poison, paralysis, silence, and blindness on use. You can also throw it for area of effect application to your teammates. However, when thrown on allies that are inside of a soundproof sphere, such as the one created from silence, the potion will remove silence before immediately having silence reapplied, even even when applied in turn-based mode or combat. Now this shows really the power of these soundproof spheres created by Silence or from the Librarian, which can be found in the Silent Library in Act 2, so make sure not to use your Remedial potion thinking it's going to work in those scenarios. And next up is a secret item that most players miss, and that item is Wulbren's Head. This item is extremely rare because the only way to get it is to save Wulbren from Moonrise Tower's prison in Act 2, and then later in Act 3 when you encounter Fist Manip Falcow just inside the gate at the Southspan checkpoint, you have to accept his quest to destroy the Ironhand gnomes. Now chances are if you saved them in Act 2, you aren't going to go slaughter them in Act 3, but if you do, you will be able to loot Wulbren's Head and bring it to Fist Manip Falco, and he will reward you with 800 gold for it, and it will also grant you inspiration if you have a soldier background, which Lae'zel has. Also, Manip is supposedly a human when inspected, but he visibly has elf ears, which is kind of suspicious. And next up is the Hearthlight Bomb. This is a grenade that you'd only ever obtain if you craft it. This grenade, when thrown, creates dancing lights where the bomb landed. This can be used to block a vent to allow for safe passage, or to be a light to you in dark places when all other lights go out. And in order to create the Hearthlight Bomb, you'll need to harvest Nightlight fronds, which can be harvested from Nightlight plants in the Underdark if you pass a DC 12 nature check. Alternatively, they are also sold by Dareth Bonecloak at the Myconid Colony in the Underdark, and most players probably have never seen this grenade, considering the only way to obtain it is by crafting it. And next up is the Hidden Heart of the Creator. Found within the Underdark is the Arcane Tower, and each floor above the basement contains a part of the epic tragedy known as the Roads to Darkness. The Threadbare Book, Evil's Ascent, and the remainder of the play are each on a different floor, and each one unlocks a new dialogue option with Bernard on the roof of the tower. By selecting the option unlocked by reading the Roads to Darkness, you can save yourself from having to battle Bernard. Then, by choosing the option unlocked by reading the Threadbare Book, he'll give you the ring that, when equipped, reveals the button leading to the basement of the tower, which has a number of treasures. But Evil's Ascent actually unlocks an option that leads to combat, so it's not necessarily recommended reading for that part of the play. However, if you choose the dialogue options reciting the play to Bernard, you'll actually be awarded with the Heart of the Creator, an inspiration point for any party member with an entertainer background. And while you're at the top of the tower, don't forget to break the chair of Hill Giant Strength for the Club of Hill Giant Strength. And next up is how to get Macabre Enigma. This reward is one that probably 99% of players did not achieve. To get it, you'll need to find each part of Dribble's body. You can find Dribble's hand on a plate in Popper's store inside the Circus of the Last Days. Dribble's torso could be found on the dead body of Penella Lumpensix under the Open Hand Temple. Dribble's arm is in the Pear Tree House basement southeast of Sorcerer's Sundries on the corpse of courageous little Kimabeth. Dribble's leg is in Lavernica's basement southwest of the Lower City Central Wall waypoint. It can be found on the corpse of Incontinentia Friggin in the cave. Dribble's foot is in the basement of Rainforest's home located southeast of the Blushing Mermaid Tavern. In the basement, the foot can be looted from the corpse of a blue dragonborn named Winslow Reginald. Dribble's pelvis can be looted off the body of Gohamberry Tresp in the empty house northwest of the Basilisk Gate, just behind the Stormshore Tabernacle. And last, Dribble's head can be looted from the corpse of Wilting Alex, found just north of the Temple of Ball waypoint. Now, upon picking up the last piece of Dribble's, you will immediately earn Macabre Enigma, an inspiration point if you have the Guild Artisan background. And not only that, but you can also return all Dribble's parts to Lucretius for the Spellmite gloves, and the circus will go away after the next long rest. So make sure to get everything there is to earn there before you turn this quest in, and you'll also get inspiration called the Dismemberment of Dribbles if you have an Acolyte background, which Shadowheart has, inspiration called Macabre Hunt if you have an Outlander background, which Karlach has, and inspiration called Trail of Blood if you are playing as the Dark Urge. And next up is a secret interaction with Shadow-Whiskers. Found within the Circus of the Last Days, Shadow-Whiskers will attack if you interact with fake Dribbles. If you enter dialogue with Shadow-Whiskers, you can discern either through animal handling or if you have Speak with Animals on and talk to Shadow-Whiskers that Shadow-Whiskers is filled with hatred and will attack at the first opportunity. By passing the investigation check, you can learn that the lock is old and that you could break it, trapping Shadow-Whiskers inside. If you do, then when you interact with fake Dribbles, the shapeshifters won't be able to release Shadow-Whiskers upon you, giving you one less enemy to fight. And next up is the secret Multipass. Behind the post office counter in Rivington is a letter called Urgent Report for Duke Ravengard, priority entry. If you steal this letter, it unlocks the dialogue option to tell the Flaming Fist at the Southspan checkpoint that you have an urgent message. Surprisingly, or maybe not, the gauntlet appears to not care at all whatsoever, and you still need to be scanned by the Steel Watcher, leading to the same consent to arrest or attack options. So while the letter doesn't actually get you through the checkpoint, it does actually strangely award you inspiration if you have a noble background, which Minthara has. And next up is a secret reward you can earn within the Elfsong Tavern. Within the tavern, there's actually a comedy contest going on called the Laugh Riot. There are actually some decently funny jokes that appear as dialogue options if you choose to participate, including the intimidation options, which are funny. But if you choose a couple of the funnier lines, you can actually win the comedy contest and get awarded with an inspiration called a stand-up adventurer if you have an entertainer background. And next up is the Web Grenade. When thrown, this grenade creates a web surface which halves movement speed, can enweb creatures, and completely nullifies falling damage, which makes this grenade great if you don't have Feather Fall available. And webbed is caused if the target fails a DC 12 dexterity saving throw and causes the target to be unable to move. It grants advantage on attack rolls against said target, and the target will also have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws, which can help you with a lot of spells and cantrips. Most players probably miss the web grenade because you can only obtain it through alchemy by creating a suspension of spider silk from silk glands. These silk glands can be found on creatures and are also sold by Dareth Bonecloak at the Myconid colony in the Underdark.